Well, thanks for joining us today. We've got a special guest star, and we're going to try to do this every once in a while. We're going to talk about a struggling business that has been hit by the COVID and landlords who are working with people, and we're going to look at various legal aspects of things that may or may not be happening with people that you know, with small businesses. So I have David Sims here, and David is here with Wow Donuts and Drips. And David, tell us where Wow Donuts and Drips is and was and where it's going.
Yeah, so we are a donut and coffee concept out of Plano, Texas. We've been doing really well prior to COVID, trying to just modernize the simple concept of donuts and coffee. And but of course, when COVID came around, it hit us pretty hard. And right now we've been locked out. And
locked out now. Let's talk. Locked out means you're behind in your rent, right?
Correct.
Right. And so, as I understand it, your landlord made a deal with you, but that deal you couldn't do, right?
Correct.
Okay. So, when you fall behind, you can get locked out, and at that point, the landlord can say, "I want all the money. I want all the money you were ever going to pay me now," which of course is never something you can do, because if you could do that, you'd be paying your rent,
I'd
right?
be paying the rent, exactly.
So
yeah, it all came about because they wanted 1.5x during a time when we weren't even making 1x, so it just
okay.
just
So
couldn't keep up.
so you've got a new location, and where is that?
It's gonna be in Frisco, Texas.
Okay, so if you're watching this is not live, so I'm going to put the link and the address all in the chat or somewhere as people can find it. And so what is the problem?
Right now, we just don't have our equipment. We don't have any of the tools necessary to have a chance during this pandemic, but that's what we're hoping we can get back so that we can have a fresh start over in Frisco.
So what happens in a lockout is that the landlord puts a big chain around the lock or changes the locks. It's less dramatic. And it kind of says that you can't get in, you can't get your equipment because the landlord has something called a landlord lien on the equipment. Of course, that equipment's really only useful to people who are making donuts.
Correct.
Or similar things like that. But the landlord knows that. So the landlord will say, pay us X number of dollars, and we'll let you have your equipment. Usually it's everything, because they want you to pay everything, and they don't really know if you've got enough money or not. We don't have enough money. And so David came to me, and we're helping him through this. The landlord has been less horrible than many other landlords and has offered a deal. Now, the landlord didn't do everything perfect, and we can have a big fight about it, and we can go to court, and we could spend $10,000 on this pretty easily. But if you can solve the problem, I've always been of the opinion, look, just solve the problem and go on with your life, right? So we'd rather not have a big litigation. We'd rather just raise some cash and go on his way. So if you're one of those people that says we want to help struggling businesses in a real way, I am not Barstool Sports, and we're not raising millions and millions of dollars, but if you've got a few $100 that you could say, hey, I want to support a struggling local small business that's doing its best to make its way in the world, then check out the GoFundMe link and toss me a few $100, $20, $200, $5,000, whatever you can do. But if we could do this once a month for a struggling business that just needs a little bump out of his way, if we pay the landlord $7,000, then they will let him get his equipment and move out, and that way he can start making money. But he can go forward, feed his family, and that's always good.
Correct.
So
our team is all, they're all just waiting for updates too. The idea was my team would be able to transition pretty quickly to the new store, but their lockout really messed up the timing for a lot of people. But our team is hopeful, and they're just ready to get back to work. Make some fun donuts.
So if you have any questions, there's going to be a link that you can contact David. There'll be a link for the GoFundMe. And if you have any questions, just holler. Thanks, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you. Thank you, Warren.
You're welcome.